All right, everybody, welcome into the Brew Warehouse, where today we will be answering your questions about the HIVE Café 3 and 6 and demoing a brew so we can put our money where our mouth is and demonstrate the lightning quick brew times along with the zero need for consumable filters and, the added specialty cup quality and simplicity that you can always expect the HIVE Café line to bring. Here today we have Ray Berger and Adeline Abe here to sort of walk us through everything that the HIVE Café can do. So today we're going to start out, with a small little overview on what the HIVE Café is and what you can expect from these brewers. Ray, if you could grab that Recess coffee, we will be using these beans to brew today. Recess was kind enough to provide these beans, and we do really appreciate their support, so we're always happy to shout them out. Check out Recess Coffee. Thank you very much to those guys. Okay, so moving on here. Ray, what is the HIVE Café, and what is the genius behind it? What makes it different?
The HIVE Café uses accelerated cold extraction to make cold extracted products, whether that's a espresso replacement concentrate or a ready-to-drink product. It's the extraction process is really the magic behind the brewer. Because it's active, you've got brew times that are between 20 and 35, 40 minutes. Because it's active, you're going to get about 20% more coffee from the same weight of coffee grinds. The grind bed is actually the filter media, so the coffee comes out crystal clear. And the really terrific thing about the HIVE Café is it's incredibly simple to use, but it brings all the craftability to the process that you would want. And we'll talk about that when the brewer gets up and running.
Yeah. Ray, what is our mortal enemy? Where are most people coming from when they're looking for a solution, say, the HIVE Café? What do you think these people have been using?
I feel bad for them. They're most likely brewing in a bucket that can take 12 to 24 hours. It's a cumbersome process that all your employees don't like. They want to replace that thing. But to date, there hasn't been anything on the market that hits the mark, that's inexpensive, that brews quickly, maintains that specialty cup standard. So this piece of equipment is a bucket replacement device.
Adeline, what do you know about buckets?
Ooh, I know I do not like them. I have worked with buckets a couple times at a couple different shops. I know that you have to be very specific about when you start your brew to make sure that you're done in time. I know that the minute a filter spills over and you get grinds in there, you're very unhappy and you have to start all over. And I know that the end result is not always the tastiest. It's not always the best. Not my personal preference, for sure.
Awesome. So yeah, we're going to begin today with a brew, which we'll get into very soon. But first, Ray, do you want to go over sort of how we put the HIVE Café together, and we can sort of show everyone why each of these components matters?
Sure. Why don't we, since Adeline, you come from the cafe environment, why don't we have you put it together, and I'll actually time you as you do it just to see. So from a setup perspective, let's see what that looks like. So let me get my timer up and running here, and let's see how long it. Now you put this together once before, right?
Put this together once before.
Yeah. Well, let's see what we've got for that.
Speed build time, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's see what's happening.
The pressure is on.
Okay, I think you've kind of got all your parts laid out.
She hasn't had practice today, though.
Okay, let's let her rumble.
Okay, let's do it. Start?
Yep.
Great.
Now, what did you put in there?
That is going to be the filter.
Okay.
And then we were going to put this little guy into place.
And that's the drip tray.
Drip tray.
Yep, that goes in the stand. Okay.
Great. I'm going to go ahead and get this guy in here.
And what is that piece?
You're going to have to remind me on what this
That
little
is
guy is.
that is the trigger.
Trigger.
Yes, the trigger. That's
I'll have
what
to give
opens and
Adeline
closes the ball
Some bonus
valve.
points here. She's explaining the parts I am building it.
Okay, there we go.
That's the brew cell.
And then this little guy
Yeah.
go on top. And
And here,
boom.
you can kind of take this and put that up on
Yeah.
top with the complete build.
And that's our water tank there.
Yep. So that's how
Nice.
it goes together. Great. That was 53 seconds. Well done.
It was actually 52 is shorting.
It was. Yes. How would your staff at Corvus Coffee like that?
Oh, they would love it. It's
Yeah.
super easy, super quick to put together. Very
Simple.
very simple.
Yeah.
There we go.
Great. Well, let's. What do you say we do a brew?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay. Great. All right. Why don't you pull the tank down, and let's pull the HIVE brew cell, put it kind of back so that we can get it filled up with water.
And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, if you have any questions, feel free to drop your questions in chat here. We are monitoring chat,
I have
so
to.
if you have any curiosities,
please.
let us know, and we'll ask these guys up here.
Okay, so the first process to brewing on our systems, any active extraction process is going to require blooming the coffee prior to putting it in the brew cylinder. If you don't bloom the coffee, the water won't percolate through the bed because coffee is hydrophobic. So what we've done is we're working with a bloom bag. This is a Ziploc bag that handles 3 pounds of coffee, and so we are putting in 6 pounds total. Now we are developing a proprietary silicone bag for this process that'll simplify and make it even faster than doing it in the Ziploc. But why don't we go ahead and do that? So our formula.
Hey Ray, real quick, when could we expect the silicone bag to be available?
You know, that should be available in about 30 days. Yeah, let's slide that guy down.
What happens if someone were to order HIVE Café right now? Would they be able to eventually get that silicone
Yes,
bag?
we can include the Ziploc bags that come with it, but the silicone bag will come as part of an accessory kit that includes an extra tank, sanitizer, and the bloom bag. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So we're going to take 3 pounds of coffee, and each one of us are going to do it. And inside this bag, we're going to put in 32 ounces of water. Now, the silicone bag has a spout and a seal on the bottom that's very similar to what they use in the baking industry, which is called a kneading bag, where they take the flour and water and put it in a silicone bag and just simply knead the outside of it, which is what we are going to do. We'll just knead that coffee and water together just for a couple minutes here. And if you do not do this, water will channel, you'll get horrible extractions, and it would quadruple, triple the time frame. So blooming the coffee prior to brewing is a critical step in a proper extraction.
So which cafe brewer are we going to be using for this brew?
Today we're going to be using the Cafe 6. And the Cafe 6 is going to take 6 pounds of coffee, and it will brew somewhere between 2 and 3 gallons of concentrate, which will dilute out to up to 10 gallons of ready to drink. And we'll do that in our brew times of 25 to 35 minutes. Okay, my coffee's pre-infused. How is yours, Adeline?
Mine looks pretty good.
Kind of work some of those raisins out.
Yeah, I think we're looking good.
All right. Why don't we go ahead and put the brew cell up on top of the Cambro?
Love it. Scoot
Yep.
this guy back over.
How long did that take us? Just a couple minutes, maybe?
Maybe. Not very long at all.
Yep.
There we go.
And the silicone bag is really a neat improvement on the process. Okay. Let's go ahead and put in 3 pounds.
The silicone bag would essentially be infinitely reusable, right?
That is right. That is exactly right. Well done.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, bag number 2.
Gotcha.
How do you know how much water is enough to put in?
So through lots of research and development, we've come up with a basic formula. We use about 32 ounces for 3 pounds of coffee. And what that formula does is it gives the coffee just the right amount of water to bloom and expand and become receptive to the water that we're going to put over the top of it. And which is really important. If you think about it, we're going to push 2 gallons, or actually 3 gallons of water through this bed of coffee in just 25, 30 minutes. It has to be ready and receptive to take the water. Okay, so that is ready to rumble. Let's go ahead and put on the...
Well, actually, I'd like to ask Adeline, what did you just do with that spatula there?
I just went ahead and evened out the top of the grind bed to make sure that it is just ready for even extraction all around.
Okay, so yeah, you don't want that uneven extraction, right? Or else you'll be missing out on some of that good coffee there.
Okay, and you'll notice that we have 3 tanks lined up here. For this recipe, we're going to use 2 3/4 tanks, and we'll talk about the detail of that when we get brewing. So we're just going to take this first tank that has 1 gallon of water, and Adeline is going to go ahead and put that up on top. Perfect.
Might be able to hear that gurgling there. Ray, last time you called this a babbling brook.
You know, this is the magic, and I know it doesn't look... Well, actually, it does look really cool, all of the drippers. It reminds you of the high-end specialty Kyoto towers. And if you think about this piece of equipment, it's really that Kyoto tower improved and scaled way up to brew 10 gallons ready to drink in 25 minutes. But that is an amazing piece of technology, this drip tray. So she just got started.
What does the drip tray look like? We can't quite see it from here.
You know, I'm going to pull one out of this brewer, and let's kind of go through that very cool piece of component that's been developed.
And yeah, it's really simple. There's really not much complexity here, so you can expect this to be reliable for ever and ever. Not literally, but you know, it's a very simplistic design, right, Ray?
Yeah. Well, and actually we're going to integrate this drip tray with this tank in this adjustable nozzle. So while this just looks very simple, the number of drippers, the orifice, and the design of the dripper took a lot of research and development. So each one of these little pieces is actually a highly designed nozzle. You put them all together, and the way that it drips water through the coffee bed really makes a big difference. Now, this is going to sound a little odd, but if you think about it, we're pushing water down through this coffee bed. So what has to happen? Well, the air in this coffee bed needs to be displaced. And the way these drippers come down and create moon craters on top of the coffee bed allows the air to escape from the bed and be replaced by the water. So while this looks like a piece of plastic, it is really a highly engineered drip tray. Yes, Jack?
Jack in the back of the class. Yes, we have David from Voltage Coffee Supply asking, how many tanks does each system come with?
Each system comes with 1 tank. So it's easy to take between the tanks, take it, go fill it, come back. Or the tanks are available in an accessory kit that comes with the glue bag and the sanitizer.
Amazing. Okay, is it possible, like how easy is it to get additional tanks?
Super easy. Just available on our website.
Okay, do we have a cost for those right now?
You know, I don't. I don't have a retail cost, yes. But what I want to do is I want to line up this tray with the top of this tank. And again, it's genius simplicity, what I always call it. So this nozzle, if you'll see this nozzle is adjustable. So you see it's coming out or it's coming in. And if you think about this nozzle sitting down in this drip tray, by adjusting that nozzle height, you adjust the depth of the coffee in the drip tray. And the depth controls the flow rate. So you can use flow sensors, you can use time sensors, you can do all sorts of way to manage a flow rate, or you can simply do an age-old method of putting a tank on top of water, and this controls the depth controls the flow rate. Okay, so that piece is an amazing piece of what's so successful about this brewer. The other piece is the HIVE brew cell. Now this is coming off a HIVE Brew 3, but what is actually happening here is this coffee bed is the filter. Now at the bottom of the HIVE cell we do have, I'd call it a screen, and it's got these really cool looking HIVE little laser cut lines in it. This does hold the coffee back. The filtration is the grinds come down and settle on top of this, and that becomes the filter media. But between this piece, which is reusable, and the coffee bed, we are going to craft crystal clear brew with no sediment, no post-brew filtering. None of it's required. We're going to take this right out. We'll look at it. It's like a Pilsner. It's so beautiful with no sediment in it.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of feedback from people saying that no consumables is huge, right? No need to go on and order additional filters or anything like that, right?
That, and just compare that to those bags out of the bucket. I mean, that's craziness. So it's just a far superior system to making cold extracted products. So between the HIVE brew cell, the screen, the highly engineered drip tray, and the very simple nozzle height, we can manage a brew just like you would on an espresso machine. I mean, what I'd like you to think about is on your espresso machine, you're going to have so many grams in your basket. You guys do that? You grams
Yes.
and milliliters. Tell me how you calibrate your espresso machine.
Well, for our espresso machine, 18 grams, pulling double shots. Output of usually like 46 grams.
Yeah.
40 grams output.
Yeah. And do you vary that ratio very much between?
Yeah, we'll vary it based on which kind of coffee we're brewing, how light the roast is, what the flavor profile is we're trying to get out of it. I would assume that you'd have the same like craftability on changing recipes for, more fruit-forward coffee versus like a more like chocolate-forward here.
Right. And
So guys, before we get too far away from that, we have Vishal asking, what is the ideal grind size for this situation?
Well, that's an interesting question. You can vary the grind size. We do provide a grind size and a basic recipe. Actually, we provide 3 recipes. If I were to give you a micron, I'd say it's 600 microns is what we recommend. And it's substantially finer than what you would find for immersion brewing. I mean, it's not far of espresso grind. And that's one of the secrets for the very high extractions that we're able to get. But we do recommend varying the grind.
Yeah, it is like a fine pour over grind almost even. And it's so interesting, when you're used to like the really super coarse like 16 grind for like a French press or
It's
cold
way
brew.
different. And a lot of that comes from how this dispenses. So our grind sizes, a standard recipe would be 600 microns, but you can grind finer to this. You can go down to 500 microns and you can go all the way up to 800. So what we do is we provide 3 basic recipes. So something with your primary decision point being roast. If it's a dark roast, you can do fine, super fast brews. If it's kind of a medium roast, you can do like a 500 to 600, 600 to 700 micron size, which is kind of a filter, I would say, whatever you're going to do your pour over, or even what you would grind in the morning for your Mr. Coffee, that would work. And then if you're going to do kind of a lighter roast, we add a little bit of extra water, we add a little bit of time, and make the grind a little bit coarser. You have all of that flexibility in the system. You can geek out on it, or you can just follow one of our 3 recipes, and you're going to craft specialty brew in that 25 to 35 minutes.
Sounds great. All right, and so our brew's rolling now, right? How long do we have to wait?
We are rolling. You can see that we have the water is coming down through the bed. I'm guessing we will be coming out in just a minute or 2. And then we are going to add our second and our third tanks, so 2 3/4 gallons of water for this particular recipe. This is going to be a highly concentrated recipe because it's a short ratio. So we put a lot of brewing expertise behind of our 3 recipes, but we do simplify them down to just a few variables. So you can follow those few variables and craft great coffee, or you can adjust all those variables however you like to do it.
Sounds good. All right, Ray, should we switch to our second setup here?
Yes, let's do.
All righty.
Perfect.
Thank you very much, Adeline. We'll just have a little bit of a discussion here about sort of, the differences between the Cafe 3 and 6 and sort of why it really takes something like bucket immersion brewing to the next level. All right, we got Butterfingers around here. That's all right, though. We make it work. We won't drop your HIVE Café.
there's our coffee.
Okay.
Or should I say, there is our concentrate.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's looking super good.
So we have some people will actually take this concentrate, because what we're pulling out here is probably 17 to 20 TDS product, which is extremely highly concentrated. So we have some people that actually take some of this first brew off, and they'll use it for exotic products, and then they'll use the rest for a ready-to-drink product. But because this extraction process does such high concentrations, you have a lot of flexibility in what you do with it. I mean, look at that. It looks like it's the viscosity is like like a 90 weight motor oil.
Yeah, and we have a video coming out about the Hive Cafe in the very, very near future. I always think about Ray. You were telling the audience, you were like, don't try this at home because there's just a lot of caffeine in this concentrate here, but you can really do anything you want with this.
That's right.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's looking really good. So I'm sorry, did you already mention how much longer about do we have to go before we're done brewing with just the concentrate here?
I'm guessing we have about 20 minutes.
Gotcha. Okay, and this is, so, you know, compared to bucket immersion brewing, like what's the process for a bucket, right? I mean, you have the filters. Are they worried about sediment in the bucket? Like what are some struggles that you might see there? I mean, we even got one.
We have a bucket. Yes.
It's just interesting to highlight the differences because, you know, the Hive Cafe really simplifies so much of, you know, what you have to do with a bucket, right? So.
Well, it's a very different process. So, I mean, think about it. You put coffee and you put water in here. It's a passive process. There's no activity between the water and the grinds. And if you think about all coffee brewing, think about espresso. You're putting pressurized water through a grind bed, right? If you're doing a pour over, once again, you're passing water through a grind bed. If you're doing your Mr. Coffee, I mean, think about the difference between percolation and Mr. Coffee. Everything is about passing water through a grind bed, which is an active process.
Right, and this would just be sitting on the floor, just kind of soaking in essence, right?
So a very passive process.
Yeah.
Now, some people will get in there and they'll mix it, but how do you manage that in a consistent way? I mean, do you mix it once? Do you mix it twice? Do you mix it every hour? I mean, in a cafe environment, what? You're going to have your people pull off the espresso machine and go mix it?
Yeah, and I mean, you have to give the bucket credit. I mean, there's a certain simplicity to it, but you lose, and I mean, that's what the Hive Cafe replicates as well, is the simplicity of the bucket with, you know, much more control and cleanliness in your brew, right? But, you know, the bucket works for what it's intended to. You know, we're not only hating on the bucket here, but we wanted to improve on the bucket, right? So, you know,
There's our
there you
first
go.
tank down.
So, Ray, what'd you just do here?
So that was our first tank down. And our last tank is 3/4 of a gallon. So we're going to dispense 2 3/4 gallon, which follows our recipe. So our recipe for this guy, we're going to expect about 2 gallons of concentrate, and it's going to be highly concentrated. We will test the TDS when we're done. And we would expect this to brew out to about 9.8 gallons of a ready-to-drink.
9.8, okay, 10 gallons essentially.
10 gallons,
yeah.
2 kegs, if you're going to use a keg system.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Our system also comes with like dilution tables. So you can geek out or you can follow one of these 3 recipes, which is going to kind of tell you, here's what we're doing. We're predicting the concentration, and then...
And someone's going to get this when they order the brewer, right? They're going to just have the recipes ready to go.
That's right.
Easy as that?
That's right.
Okay, so you don't need to be a genius. Like, we can nerd out about coffee, all day, right? But if you're, if you just want to brew some great coffee, I mean, look, you just we'll essentially provide you with a table that's just really easy to follow along.
That's right. And the primary decision point for which recipe to use is just roast level.
Right,
right. And you can simply look at it. Here's what we're brewing with right now. We're kind of brewing with a medium dark. So because it's a medium dark, our tables kind of go for a short ratio, what I would kind of call a ristretto ratio.
Gotcha.
So a finer grind, short ratio. It's going to brew to a high concentrate. This system, think of this system as on an espresso machine pulling an Americano.
Okay, that's a good analogy.
When you pull an Americano, you're going to pull a shot of espresso, and then you're going to dilute it out, right? And how much you dilute it out affects the end cup quality. So you have all of those same controls in this, but we make it simple by providing tables that you can follow.
Right, and I don't know if we've talked about this explicitly yet, but the flow rates, right? Is this just fixed to one flow rate, or if I wanted to tweak my recipe more because I'm a coffee nerd, could I do that? How can we make that work?
It's so cool. I mean, it is. It really is.
You can tell he loves this stuff.
It's so cool. What I love about it is the simplicity, and that once you set it, anybody can use it. Unskilled staff can replicate it. So your flow rate is just controlled by this nozzle spout. So we can push it down, which it puts it farther into the water level.
Right.
So the water level is lower.
Okay.
So it's going to drip slower.
Okay, so you just come in from underneath. Show me what you're turning there. Okay, so it's just a little handle.
Exactly.
You just spin that. So if someone receives this in the mail, are they going to need to adjust the flow rate, or are these going to be preset? Do we know how that works?
It comes with our recipes. So if you're going to do a really fast brew, you'll extend it a quarter. If you're kind of doing a mid-range, like a mezzo, you'll do 5/16, and if you want it to brew slow, you do 3/8 of an inch.
Gotcha. Okay. Because clearly we're trying to we want this to be as approachable as possible for different skill levels, as we just talked about. So that'll make it really easy. Awesome. Good stuff.
And that's a really good word, approachable.
Yeah.
It's the way we see a lot of cafes using the bucket is they will say, put in this much water, this much coffee. When it's done, put in this much dilution. So you've kind of created a product by following very simple steps.
Right.
This offers the same thing. We give you a little bit more craftability in the standard recipes, but if you want to geek out, I mean,
by all means,
you can. It has that same capability.
To your heart's content.
It's like a Toyota.
Reliable.
It's like a Ferrari.
Okay, I don't know the Ferrari
Sexy
part.
and fast.
There you go.
Come on.
There you go.
Don't know Ferrari. Come on.
This is the epitome of eye candy right here. Right. This is it's sleek. It's sleek. I get where you're going.
But it gives you.
That's pretty good.
It gives you both of those. It can do either.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, why don't we think about how this would work in sort of a cafe situation in your workflow, for example. Okay, so I'm brewing into this camber right here. Can I instead have it brew into a bib, or is there another solution for this, or do I have to use the Canberra, or can I brew?
That's a really good question, because how do you use the product? In the bucket, you're going to brew what? Maybe a 3.5 TDS, which is kind of a low concentration. It's not going to work for what we're calling espresso replacement concentrate. And if you think about what's going on in the industry, I don't know, iced beverages.
Oh my gosh. I was just talking to these guys about how I was just really enjoying my pumpkin spice latte over there. So many different genres of beverage now, right? It's it's not only hot espresso. I mean, people are just flocking in the summer months, right?
Iced beverages are huge. Year-round, really, they are. It is certainly the trend that's going on in the industry.
And you want to be ready for that, yeah.
You do. So most people, the industry right now is they're going to go over to the espresso machine. They're going to grind. They're going to put it in the espresso machine, and they're going to pull that shot. And then they're going to take that hot shot of espresso, and they're going to put it over ice. And that's going to be the base coffee compound for all of those fluffy iced beverages that you're seeing going out the door today. Well, what's coming? What happened in that process? One, you need a skilled barista.
Right. Yes.
An expensive barista. Two, it took time. Three, it introduced a lot of ways to screw it up. I mean, being a good barista and pulling a shot of espresso is a highly skilled job. It is.
I mean, Adeline behind the camera, she knows what it's like.
That's exactly right. Or why not batch brew specialty concentrate?
Okay, batch brewing specialty concentrate. So sounds to me like we're eliminating all these extra steps and just getting to that final drink faster. It sounds like that would save a lot of time as a barista is making 100 way more drinks than that per day, right?
It's speed of service. I would say those are 3 buzzwords going on in the industry that are important. People want to put an order in on an app. They want to walk in and get their beverage, and they want to walk out. They don't want to wait in line.
Yeah.
But speed of service, I want to focus on that, but I also want to focus on the idea of
course,
specialty coffee that's been batch brewed.
Okay.
Okay, and I say that because that specialized barista behind that machine, they are following a very specific formula, and they're after a certain taste profile. Well, you can do the same thing in this, and I think you asked about brewing into a bib,
Yes.
and the answer to
we
that
did get away from that a little bit.
is yes.
Ooh, look what we got here.
So this bib can fit right down inside that Canberra, and you can either brew a gallon or gallon and a half of espresso replacement concentrate.
Yeah.
Or you can put a 2.5 gallon bib in here and brew right out to your ready to drink.
Okay, that's saving like even more cleanup time right?
Well, and so it's really 3 things. The reason that you'd want to consider a special replacement concentrate is for speed of service. It's because you're batch brewing specialty coffee, and I want to really focus on that. This piece of equipment lets you do that. There is no compromise on cup quality. The A/B testing we've been doing with some very high roasters, they like the batch brewed concentrate out of this piece of equipment more than they like their espresso in a standard brown sugar latte.
Right. That's crazy.
It's got the same punch.
That's insane. You think about how little time it takes too. It's just like it's crazy that you can achieve those results in such a different form factor.
Well, so it's speed of service, it's specialty standard, and the other thing that's really important is it's a consistent product.
Right.
Because you batch brewed it. A shot of espresso is 1 ounce per time. 1 ounce, it introduces so much opportunity for errors.
Right. Lots of variance in there. Like as any brand, right? You want to be able to provide a consistent experience for your customers.
Do you hear anything?
Ooh. I think that means our babbling brook has dried up.
So, what do you say we change the tank?
All right. Ray, I've never done this part
Oh,
before.
you're going to do it for me?
I've never done this part before.
Okay, so let's take that tank down, and we're going to put on that front tank.
Let's see if just some guy like myself can manage this. Right here.
Yep.
All right, and this little handle comes towards me.
Yeah,
right?
and put the spout in the middle. So turn it around 180
Like this?
degrees.
Oh.
Yeah, 180
Or like
degrees,
this.
like that.
There
and
we
then
go.
pull
Oh, it
back.
just clicks right into place.
It does click right into place.
Okay, that wasn't bad at all.
Yeah,
Okay, and immediately we're dripping again.
we're dripping again. So that's the final 3/4 of a gallon. And if
Okay, that was simple.
Take a look at the cylinder. You see how it's becoming saturated?
Yeah, you really can tell all throughout.
That's really what creates the even extraction and the high concentration capabilities of this piece of equipment.
Yeah, the drip plate is so simplistic. It's not like the water's just dripping even just like right in the center. It really does spread it out. You're using all those grinds.
Yeah, and because we're saturating that grind bed, it's part of why this is so successful because it eliminates channeling. And everybody that's pulled espresso or done any kind of cold brewing in an active system understands how important the elimination of channeling is.
Yeah.
Channel, you're going to run coffee finds its least resistant path, right? It'll come right down. It'll over-extract here and under-extract here. The way this system works is it fully saturates the grind bed, and that's why we're going to get a super high concentration with very consistent results. Hey, I want to show you.
Fantastic.
I want to show you a prototype of a concentrate dispenser. So
This is new to me, folks. What have we got here?
well, what I want you to do is I want you to think about that espresso replacement concentrate, right? So we're going to brew into a bib.
Okay.
Then what? Well, Tor has a proprietary keg system that rather than using a pump, it uses a compressor, and it compresses a bladder in a cylinder, and it simply squeezes this bib, and it comes out into a little dosing dispenser. So you can program each one of these things to whatever you want. It could be 30 mils, 60 mils, 90 mils, whatever you want.
So for the people at home, right, there are 4 buttons on here, right? You have, it looks like 3 different options you can set for different amounts, and then you have a cancel button in case you want to interrupt it, I would assume, right?
That's right. That's right.
That's
so
nice.
This system can be paired with an espresso replacement dispensing system. This will be coming out from us in, say, the next 90 days.
Wow.
Or you can take the 2 gallons of concentrate that we're going to brew, and we are going to dilute this out at the end of today. We're going to dilute it out into 10 gallons of a ready-to-drink product.
Right. Okay, so I'm starting to be able to see how with the simplicity of this brewer and even with this dispensing prototype over here, how if you can sort of, using this equipment, attack your speed of service in multiple different levels. You're just really simplifying it at every step. Yeah. That's awesome. He sprung that prototype on me.
It's a really sweet piece of equipment. It's really amazing.
That's really cool. Yeah.
But what you want an end-to-end solution. So you want to be able to make a specialty product in a reasonable amount of time with a consistent outcome that unskilled labor can do. And then you want to take that and you want to be able to turn it into something. Because you got to turn it into something to give to somebody so they pay your money back.
No way.
That's how it works.
We just learned how the business works. It's okay. I mean, of course, in simple terms, right?
So you really need that entire solution to take this and turn it into revenue inside the door. Now, I'd like to touch on that just briefly.
Sure.
So we put in 6 pounds of coffee. The ROI on this device is about 2 weeks worth of use. Actually, it's not even that. It's 2 or 3 brews. Gotcha. Because you put in 6 pounds of coffee, and from that we're going to get 10 gallons of cold brew. And Adeline, what is a glass of cold brew now these days? $5, $6?
Anywhere from $5 to $8.
$5 to $8.
$5 to $8.
So
it gets up there.
Somebody do the math for me. So if we take, let's say an average price of $6. Do the math for me. So $6. We're going to take. I'm going to give you the number of beverages. We're going to do 10 gallons times 128 divided by 12. So we're going to get 106 glasses.
Okay.
106 glasses times 6. We're going to get $636.
Mike over here is on it.
$636 worth of revenue.
I was just noticing a question from Vishal in the chat here, if we can just really quickly. Vishal was asking, do we have to start brewing immediately after, is that pre-infusing, or do we have to let it bloom for longer?
Nope. It's a quick bloom. You simply pre-wet the grounds and let it rip. Now, you can experiment with the amount of blooming water, but the ratios we give you are tried and true through all grind sizes. But you can certainly do that. You can bloom with more water and let it sit, and that would be a recipe variable for sure.
Right. Okay, good. And then we have another question here. Serja, is it? Please forgive me if I mispronounced your name, but you were asking also, we can play around with coffee taste from the same roast bean. That's very true. I suppose it was more of a statement than a question, but wouldn't you agree?
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
So same things you manipulate in a pour over. How much coffee, how much water, paired with the grind size to a target concentration.
Right.
That's the magic. Coffee to yield, paired with grind size to a target concentration.
Okay, awesome.
What do you hear?
Nothing.
How long did that take us to brew? How long has it been?
I feel like we've been talking for 10 minutes.
Talking to you always goes fast, Jay. Okay, so we are actually finished. I can see it dripping off a little bit.
All right.
Now we were expecting 2 gallons of brew. So what we might do is why don't we just give it a little bit to drip off?
Yep.
Because our next process through dilution is predicated on 2 gallons of alcohol. But check that out. So we're going to drip this off.
We're still dripping a lot out of there. Yeah.
We're gonna hit our 2 gallons of concentrate.
Yeah. I mean, it's more often than not just dead on. So that's part of the consistency.
That is exactly right. It's part of the brewing method.
Very, very reliable. And then all you got to do is just got to pop all this off, right? And then you got direct access to your concentrate. You know, no need to yank a filter out or any of that.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the clarity.
Cool, cool.
And so let's talk just a little bit about dilution. Coffee can be complicated or it can be simple. And you know, a lot of people that geek out make it so complicated. It doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah. It can be intimidating. I mean, even just you're on social media and sometimes it's like from someone who, you know,
you don't need
doesn't
a bow
know
tie.
as much as Ray. Yeah.
Right.
I'm like, God, it seems so complicated at first, but
You don't need a bow tie. So what we're doing is simplifying everything down into 3 very simple recipes that are going to yield a certain quantity of coffee.
yes.
And we can predict the concentration level as measured by TDS quite well.
Oh, well, yeah, and look at that level too. We just let it drip for another 60 seconds.
I love it.
It's right there.
I love
right
it.
there.
So because
Looking
it does
good.
that, so then we're going to give you some very simple dilution tables. And what do you think about coffee? Well, I mean, you've got people serving ready to drink cold brew all over the place. I mean, whether it's a very light tea-like product or whether it knocks your socks off. So we've got dilution tables that are going to let you brew to or dilute to a refreshing beverage,
Okay, yeah.
traditional beverage. Okay, what would traditional be? Traditional is kind of chocolate, some caramel, some roasty flavors. The refreshing might be tea-like. It might be floral, a lot of fruit, light sensation, okay, or stout.
Yes.
Think of a Guinness,
Ooh.
right?
Yep.
I mean,
Good.
so some people like those. So again,
Very
you have
dark.
all the variables that you want while you're brewing, and then you can also customize the product to fit your audience through the dilution process.
And again, we just want to make clear that these are recipes that we're providing. So everyone, you know, when you get a Hive Cafe, either the 3 or the 6, you know, you have a starting point to jump off from. You're not left, you know, in the dark. Just you bought the equipment, go figure it out. You know, we've done the legwork to make sure that the results that you get are fantastic right out of the gate. You know?
Specialty cup quality
Yeah.
to consistent results.
For a lot less work, a lot less labor.
Well, we did that. Hey, why don't we dilute? So how about Adeline?
All right.
We trade out. Thank you, Jack. Let's get some dilution
Sounds good.
and see how we did. I'm kind of curious to taste and test our concentration.
All righty.
So Adeline, why don't you go ahead and pull that tank off of there. Let's pull the brew cell off, and let's give that a mixer. Perfect. Perfect. Nicely done. Nicely done. All right, I'm gonna pull this guy off of here. I'm gonna give you
Mr.
your.
Serja Dharma. Yes, I've seen your name around a lot before.
I'm gonna give your-
You've been an avid Brew Bomb fan. We appreciate you.
Should we give it a little rinse?
Oh yeah, let's do that. Hey Mike, would you get us some paper towel? Yes, please. Let's give that because we were using that in the.
Yeah.
We don't need to add any sediment to the coffee, do we? I'm going to go ahead and pull out these 2 Cambras. So we're going to mix. We're going to test TDS.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you. There we go.
So, Ray, while you guys are sort of preparing there, does water temperature affect the outcome very much?
Absolutely. Really dig it up off the bottom. That motor oil's down there at the bottom. You know, it makes a really big difference. And we'll see customers' concentration levels go down 1 or 2 points as winter proceeds, just because of the water temperature. Do you want to get too hung up on the fact that it's called cold brew? I wouldn't. I would focus on water temperatures that deliver the best outcomes. And some of that is customizable. We highly recommend a water temperature of 90 degrees, 95 degrees Fahrenheit. It extracts what you want in the product, and it leaves behind the sharp acidity that you get with hot brews. So that water temperature differentiates the product from something that's brewed with hot water. It gets you great extractions, great yields, and a really good cup quality.
Right, and there might be some concerns in certain regions too around water temperature, as far as like, you know, making sure it meets health standards go. And it is important to remember to sanitize the equipment beforehand, right? Just to ensure that,
Absolutely.
you know, we're being as
Absolutely.
safe as possible.
And something that works great about this equipment is because it brews so fast, it's going to fall well within the guidelines for safe food preparation. So our first stab at our TDS there was we're right at a 7 TDS product, which was well within the range of what we expected. So a 7 TDS, that's double what you could do in a bucket.
And speaking of, you know, TDS, well, Vishal asks, what's the ideal TDS water for brewing on the Hive?
Oh, that's a technical question. That's a real tough one, and I don't know the answer to it. We recommend that people test their water that they have and then adjust the water to what they want. And using SCA guidelines is satisfactory. And where I say that is because if you're in an environment that has very soft water, you'll need to add calcium and magnesium back to the water. If you're in a region that's pulling from wells and you've got a ton of metal and calcium and magnesium in it, you'll need to strip some of that out. So I can't address that specifically other than follow SCA's guidelines, remove the chlorine, remove the iron, remove the fluoride, and make sure your calcium and magnesium are dialed in.
Good stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you were talking about the TDS over there.
So total dissolved solids. So what we have here is we have 93% water and we have 7% coffee compounds. Do you guys use TDS at your shop? Do you guys use a refractometer and brewed TDS?
We do. We use TDS mostly when it comes to pour overs and that type of thing.
Yeah.
Because our cold brew we do serve as a concentrate. But yes, we use TDS.
Yep. We've simplified everything down to where you don't even need to know what TDS means. Just follow our recipes, and we're going to predict those concentration levels and let you dilute it out to refreshing, traditional, or stout. And remember, your concentration level is a really important piece of flavor and cup quality perception. They've done a lot of research, and it wasn't so much about the coffee. Well, the coffee matters, the brewing matters, but the concentration level really impacted the perception of the cup experience. So that's why refreshing, traditional, or stout will work quite well. So let's give that another mix. And then what I'm going to want to do is let's say we're going to dilute this out to 10 gallons of ready to drink. How would you do that? Well, we're going to take a gallon of concentrate. And on our tables, we're just going to follow the table. We brewed 2 gallons of concentrate. And we are going to dilute out to a refreshing beverage. So we would add 7.67 gallons to this. If we split that in half, it was 3.8 gallons. So we went ahead and pre-prepared this. So Adeline, maybe go around front and just take a gallon of that and pour it into here.
And Ray is reading the dilution tables, which will come with the Hive Cafe brewer, and
Just
then you
pour
can
it.
also expect those to be on our
Pour it on
website in
top,
the
Yeah,
coming
or-
weeks,
just pour it right in here.
as we try to make it as easy as possible here.
How should we do this? How about you do the spout and I'll hold it up? You want to do that?
The spout. Say that again.
Do you wanna do the
I
spout?
was just going to pour it.
Pour it where?
Just pour it. Pour 1 gallon from there into here.
Yeah.
No worries. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how accurate I'm going to be.
You know, just get close and then we can use the spout. How's that sound?
Okay.
You can do it.
Yeah. Here, you watch it and tell me
Yeah.
when to stop.
All right, stop.
Okay.
All right, how'd we do?
Look at that.
All right, let's keep
All
going. I
right.
had you
A little
stop
bit more?
way early. Yeah, keep going. Well, I don't want we can't take it back. All right, let's see what that looks like.
How do we do?
5 liters. One more quart.
One more? Okay.
Actually, 2 more. Good.
Up there.
Actually, we could do this backwards we could do half. So you have 1 more quart. All right, that's good. Let's try that.
Okay. How does that look?
Okay, great. Here, let's put it, just set it up here. Let's use the spout to dial it into, and you can set it down right there. All right, we're just going to do some fine tuning. Okay, there we go.
Wonderful.
So I'm going to give that guy a mix, and we'll give a flavor test. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Actually, I'd like to taste the concentrate.
So, guys, this coffee was provided by Recess. Are there any certain flavors you're expecting to come out when you do the taste test?
You know, they did, this is a traditional Colombian that's roasted kind of medium dark, so I would expect it to be, traditional in that it's going to have chocolate, it's going to have caramels, and some roastiness, which would go great on, on nitro or still. Now look at that beverage. I don't know if you guys can see the clarity of that. There's just absolutely no sediment. That looks like a red pill, like a red ale. Is what
Looks
that
really
absolutely
good
was.
from here.
But we haven't tasted this Colombian before. Cheers.
Yeah, that's really good.
God, the acidity. Nice job, Recess Coffee. That is absolutely outstanding, and it's very refreshing. So that's what we dilute it out to.
Yeah.
But it's still got a lot of chocolates. It's got a lot of caramel, salted caramel. No roasty, actually. It's a little bit more delicate than that, and very nice, smooth acidity. That's absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So we could take this and put this in another one, and then put this right into your keg. There's your 10 gallons of ready to drink, or you could use it as an espresso replacement concentrate. We crafted the 2 gallons at a very high concentration level, right at 7, in the 30 minutes.
Awesome. Good job, guys. Was that difficult? Are you sweating?
No, that was quite easy. Very, very quick, and I'm very impressed by the end result. I can see how this would be very tasty in like an espresso replacement beverage, especially if you're like, my mind immediately goes to like farmer's market or any event where you want to make espresso beverages but don't want to bring an espresso machine. That would be really great.
It would work really good. The chocolate and the caramel are still going.
Yeah, it's almost like
it's still going, and it's very smooth.
like crystallized honey. It's very tasty.
Yeah, really
Yeah.
good. So no, it's so easy. And I think once you get the process down, it can be simplified even further. And if you use the dispensing system and brew into with a 2.5 gallon bib, imagine that. Brew, bib, dispense.
Okay, that sounds really good. So you just did a brew. Say you're at work for 8 hours. You're just making coffee. Well, where do you go from here? How's the cleanup? What can I expect? Can I just start another brew after this?
Clean up. Boy, all you're going to do is dump the grinds, pull that little quarter turn filter out, wash it off, and you're ready to rumble again.
And that's a metal filter, right? Or do I have to replace that?
No, it'll last. Now, if you think about that, we brewed 10 gallons in 30 minutes. Put that out over an 8-hour shift. So you could brew 20 gallons every hour times 8. You could brew 160 gallons of ready to drink coffee in this in one 8-hour shift. That's unbelievable. That's fantastic. Now, you might pare that back a little bit because you're going to have some setup and clean time in between there. But let's say 150 gallons of ready to drink every 8 hours in this simple device.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So, hey, for anyone else that's watching right now, feel free to get your questions in here before we end. We got just a few minutes left, but, until then, I'm kind of curious to try some of that coffee myself. Can I come over there?
Absolutely. Nice job, Recess. Recess is also a distributor. Recess is located in Sacramento, and they do have these units in inventory. Should you be interested in contacting them directly for a purchase?
All right, let's see. I'm the non-expert here. Okay, and you said, chocolates. I can sort of see how that comes out. I'm not pretending, I swear.
And the acidity is kind of a sweetness.
Oh, definite sweetness, yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Smooth?
Yeah.
I'm curious to taste the concentrate.
Oh, let's do
in
that. Oh,
comparison.
don't do that at home. The caffeine will rip your face off.
Oh, goodness. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, and you put this on milk. Thank you. There's our barista.
What was that? Cleaning up?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't slurp.
Yeah, I got to get through all the old factory
Wow,
senses.
the body is just like so silky smooth. Really, really silky smooth. It's bold.
I think this would go wonderfully in your pumpkin spice latte. Jack.
Oh, yes.
You know, it would add a lot more than roast and chocolate. It would add a lot of complexity. Wow, that's delicious.
Very, very
you could
good.
do a million different things with it. Change your coffees, change your recipes, do what you're doing. Take your bucket, put it in the trash, and and make it a lot easier. Better coffee, faster time.
So good. No post-brew filtration either. Like,
Nope.
we just tried that. Brew was done, and I was like, oh my God, that's great.
Yep.
Good stuff. Okay. It doesn't look like we have any last minute questions. Anything else that we would like to share on the Hive Cafe? And why is it so game changing? We told the people we'd put our money where our mouth is. So you think we've done that?
We delivered.
Yeah, I think we put our mouth where the money is.
That's right. You know, it's a piece of equipment that uses simplicity to the finest. It crafts beautiful products. It allows you to use preset recipes or geek out, and it's inexpensive. It's bulletproof, so it's very reliable. And do you think most of your team could manage this process?
Oh, absolutely. I think, just from like a cafe mindset, anything that increases quality and limits the room for errors on the barista side is just great all around. I mean, as a barista that works in specialty coffee, just the room for, being able to customize like what coffee you're brewing with and what you're doing with it afterwards is great. But also, from, a more traditional like coffee mindset, like this final product is so much more complex and quality than a bucket brew.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a great replacement. So more efficient. Yeah, just a better way to run a cafe by brewing on this piece of equipment versus anything in an immersion system.
Oh, you know what, guys? Vishal made me a liar. Thank you for the question, Vishal. He asked, will the 20-minute Hive brew be as strong and flavorful as compared to a conventional our Japanese-style cold brew?
Well, so they use the same extraction process. So a Japanese style would be a Kyoto brewer. It's an active process. It's exactly the same extraction process. And time, does it matter? I've been in cold brew extensively since 2014, and I believe the time did matter. But when we put this equipment up against other things that are brewing for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, the cup quality is often better with the shorter brew times. And I think it's because you're less prone to over extraction. So by pairing the grind size with the amount of water and the time, you can deliver whatever results you need. But I think you'd be amazed. A 20-minute brew time is more than adequate to develop the flavors fully.
And, bouncing back to a Kyoto style brewer, one of the big differences there is how many drip nozzles you have. So with like a traditional Kyoto brewer and you have one drip nozzle, that's one opportunity, one point of contact for the water on the coffee grounds, and it's going to take longer for it to extract. With multiple brew points, like it's hitting the coffee grounds from multiple different areas, that's causing more extraction paired with the finer grind size. That allows for a quicker extraction for the same style of
Absolutely.
process.
Good stuff. All right, guys. Anything else?
I think that'll do her.
All righty. We're signing off from our little brew bomb warehouse here. Thanks to anyone who stopped by and watched. If you are interested, the Hive Cafe is available on our website right now. That's just brewbomb.com. You can see the link there in the bottom right corner. And yeah, feel free to reach out to us if you have any other questions. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for
joining
stopping
us.
by.
Bye-bye.